The Forgotten Ones, a sci-fi short story written by cobuman and narrated by cobuman. What is the meaning of this? It was the first thought that popped in my head while rubbing my eyes after a night's sleep. I don't ever recall having such a confusing dream. The faces, the lights, random sounds coming from what seemed deep and hollow places. It felt familiar, but at the same time I could feel my body sweating as if it was trying to battle a horrible nightmare. I was not frightened of it, just horribly confused and disoriented. This was not a case of vertigo, it was more than that. As I try to compose myself, dream fades away as quickly as it came. Once again, I was denied the great pleasure of this virtual playground. It's Tuesday morning. Not that it really matters considering the monotonous nature of my life. As usual, I'm awoken by the local news station playing somewhat generic and familiar exchange of information. Oh look, the cost of living has risen again. Another person was murdered last night. What else is new? The signs are everywhere, from television broadcasts to damn highway billboards. Oh well, life goes on for peons of the world, and as for the chess players, it's a new game every day. Now here we go again. I hate this feeling of pessimism, this meaningless existence with lack of self-affirmations cannot be good for me, or anyone else for that matter. Having a positive outlook in life is the key to my sanity. Or is it just ignorance? For the string theory to make sense, it would have to be rationalized by the factor of time itself. Hence, the possibility of making a different decision at any given moment would result in an alternate reality that's stuck in an infinite loop. This is further supported by the fact that the universe is not flat but curved. With that notion in mind, black holes at the center of each galaxy generate limitless amounts of power and possibilities by negating existence of time at event horizon itself. Of course, if you're physically present at the event horizon, then damn it! Why are you driving so close to me? I'm not even in the express lane. Moving out of the way wouldn't be no issue if that was the case. I'm running low on gas. I probably should fill up before the price goes up again. I wonder if pay at the pump feature was broken on purpose to force customers to enter the store and, potentially buy something. That certainly does make sense from a business point of view. How many times do I have to tell you? Soda goes on top shelf. Don't forget it, okay? I can hear the store manager screaming at the teenage employee. Ah, poor fella. I don't recall seeing him before. Those damn slave drivers. But when you think about it, the manager himself is a slave too. I don't really care. But turnover being so high makes me wonder why their associates keep coming to work at all. Obviously they can't keep workers with such low wages. Come on, hurry up and take my money. It'd be nice to say that and not look like a impatient jerk. There's only one customer in front of me. Should make it a quick exit. This gentleman appears to be in his mid-50s, wearing jeans, a white t-shirt, with a baseball cap covering his scruffy hair. He could use a shower, though. Mainly because I can smell BO and cigarettes emanating from him. Like a dirty ashtray, smell lingers around him. Oh, what a burden is to have a sensitive nose. Maybe those lottery tickets he holds will provide him enough money for a shower or two. Who am I kidding? He is hardly any different from me. Best to be fair about it. Although he looks homeless, it doesn't mean that he is. Down to the core elements we are identical. Well, maybe not at the genetic level, but pretty darn close. Oh, please hurry up so that I can continue with my miserable life. Suddenly, I'm distracted by the magazine rack sitting by the counter. There's really nothing special about it. All the magazines look very similar in their commercial way. Every cover has a picture of an actor or what appears to be a photo model of some sort, print large enough to be seen from a great distance, that's for sure. Not to mention bright color background. Surely will grab your attention. Ah, oh, what is this sharp pain in my front temple? As I look towards the magazines once more, faces on the covers start to morph, and a sense of deja vu overwhelms me. With pain now present in my eyes, I can't help but to squint and cringe at the bizarre event unfolding in front of me. How is this possible? Why am I experiencing this? What is wrong with me? The faces are becoming clearer the more I sharpen my gaze. Hey! The weird experience was broken by the voice of someone behind me, prompting me to move up. Still in disbelief, like a robot, I hand my money to the cashier and proceed to walk out. Headache is now gone, and for some reason the draft from suddenly opening the entrance door made me feel a wet breeze. You know, the same feeling you get from the wind glazing your wet body after taking a swim on a hot summer day. Upon entering my car, the rear view mirror provided a clearer picture. I was drenched in sweat. Normally, I am able to fully recall any vivid dreams, but in this case it was impossible. This is what I said to my doctor after he explained to me that physically there was nothing wrong with me. His curious look gave away mistrust mixed with confusion, especially considering my reason for seeing him is weird dreams, blurred reality, and hot flashes. We decided to run blood tests to cover basics and to personally indulge me, I guess. Apparently I was annoying him with all the questions I had. It is clear to me that time was money, and to keep the next customer waiting would compromise earnings per patient ratio. After a few vials of blood were drawn, a follow-up appointment was scheduled. Receptionist at the front desk stated that blood work results will be conveyed to me over the phone, which is nice, I suppose. That being a common practice surely eliminates face-to-face bearing of potentially bad news. Luckily, I have some sick time so that my boss won't give me any lip. At this point, being 2 hours late to work won't make any difference in whether I show up at all. A phone call to my boss is in order. I must have fallen asleep watching reruns again. The oblivion of darkness has taken me. I find myself in a room along with a group of people gathered around a triangular podium made from stone tiles facing what appeared to be a square box located at the center. A familiar glow emanating from it grabs my attention as it's the only thing in the room creating any warmth to the place. A bluish-gray glow was bright enough to light up the whole room, which after careful examination was also made out of stone. Although the room was lit, there were no signs of this place being anywhere else but underground. No natural light was coming from anywhere. Only a shadow of a pitch-black entrance was notable, by which there were a couple of wheel carts carrying even more stone. The mumbling sound coming from the group was unlike anything I've experienced before. The manner in which the sound was carried was unusually deafened as well. After a quick look around, I came to find that people around me had bandanas covering their faces, and the rest of their outfit comprised of colorful and knitted garments, resembling that of ceremonial clothing found in Native American cultures. A nerving realization comes to mind. I had no control of this dream. My body starts to move on its own and proceeds to follow a previously formed line headed towards the center of the room. I try to turn around, but my body pulls back. As my body continues towards the podium, a sudden whisper in my ear sends shivers down my spine. Now coming from all directions, desperately I wish to find out who is whispering this strange language. Just like a mosquito stalking its prey, whispering continues. Not knowing of what's going on, a sense of helplessness overtakes me, and I start to feel my throat contracting from anxiety. A sudden sensation of thirst makes my throat feel dry and scratchy. Presently standing at the podium, my body moves once more towards the center, which square box remained still glowing even brighter, it seemed. This coffee tastes very acidic. I wonder if this is a side effect of sleeping for so long, or maybe this coffee is expired. Interesting. That dream last night was very memorable, yet for some reason the last part is kind of a blur. It sure made me feel thirsty even after I woke up. That would explain empty water bottles at my bedside. When did I get those? Ring, ring, ring. Oh, the phone is ringing. Hello? Yeah, this is your doctor's office calling, said the voice on the other line. We called yesterday, but no answer, she said. What do you mean yesterday? With confusion in my voice, I questionably remarked. I was there yesterday. Somewhat confused herself, she continued. No? With uncomfortable pause in her voice said, Today's Thursday. Your last visit was on Tuesday, she continued. Anyway, we have your blood test results and doctor would like you to come in as soon as possible, she urgently stated. Although very confused with the realization that I've slept for 48 hours, we quickly decided to follow up her advice and return to doctor's office the same afternoon. Upon entering the exam room, I was greeted by a middle-aged man with gray hair and mustache as a highlight to his face. Wearing khaki pants and white button-up shirt, he didn't strike me as a doctor figure at all. This is not who I came to see. Who is this? I thought to myself. He introduced himself as a psychologist that specializes in dream study. He stated that abnormal amounts of adrenaline was discovered in my blood, quantity only found in special cases of dream study, and he would like to inquire more about it. I found it odd that he was interested in my dreams, because his excuse was very vague and lacked detailed explanation. Kinda being curious myself, I've decided to indulge him in his quest for knowledge. To have recurring dreams is usually a sign of post-traumatic stress, he carefully stated. Do you remember experiencing anything that could have caused a significant change in your life? You may not remember it now, but maybe something from your childhood, he insisted. No, I replied. I'm pretty sure there's nothing in my childhood that could have caused this trauma, okay? My childhood is nothing but good memories, I replied with resolute response. It should have been obvious to him that meeting someone for the first time and expecting answers from personal life is not going to happen. Very well, he stated, trying to calm me down, realizing that this was a touchy subject for me. There's something else we could try. And raising his left eyebrow said, Why don't we try hypnosis? It may help discover a meaning to your dreams and at the same time possibly find subconscious memories, he asked politely. I held my response for a few seconds and through my teeth said to him, I know you're trying to help, but this is not going to happen. Consider this. We just met for the first time. And before he could get a chance to reply, I continued, Even if you mean well, I can't just let you probe my mind to that extent. Frankly, I'm surprised that even talking to you without an appointment is really weird. He immediately apologized to me and said nothing of sort is required, although hesitant, as the last thing he hands over his business card in case his service is needed again. Afterwards, I had few more questions from my physician, and then he decided to give me some stress medication, which, as he explained, will help reduce unexplained symptoms. This was a bit odd because the medication itself was not a prescription per se, but appeared to be an original packaging. He made sure to point out that this was a sample drug, but also noted that a prescription can be provided if necessary. He then decided to walk me out and was rather pleasant afterwards, apologizing about a surprise visit from his friend, the psychologist. bouncing off the walls as I walk through the pitch-black hallway. Trying to find my destination without origin seems dire. To call it a dream would be an understatement. Subconscious urge to lunge forward and climb over non-existent obstacles only ends in pain and bruises. The path is getting narrower, and I have no choice but to hug the wall, hoping to reach an end to my struggle. My effort to flip over a page is met with a blunt blow to my head, and my knee hits something hard, very smooth and cold to touch. As I try to toss and turn, I sort of realize the soft absence. This must be an end to my quest, I thought. A few minutes later, I find myself in the bathroom, standing by the toilet, gazing through the small square window, gracefully decorated with the view of a full moon. Clearly I had no use for the toilet, feeling no urge to relieve myself, yet mesmerized by the moon, still bright and perfectly centered in a small opening, left me intrigued. For once, I would like a straight answer to the weather forecast and not stay tuned crap. How long must I wait between commercial breaks before you give me any useful information? I can't afford to wait any longer. Arriving to work in time is my top priority. Come to think of it, no weird dreams occurred last night, which could mean the medication is doing its job. There's a bump on my head. Must have hit the bed frame again. We'll go away in a couple of days, I'm sure of it. Alright, time to fill up on coffee and head out. Hello! I cheerfully announced my presence at work. Good morning, replied my supervisor. Are you feeling better now? She asked. We were worried about you because you never call in sick. She seemed genuinely concerned by the look of it. Oh, I'm fine now, answered her question. Doctor gave me Thursday off to get some rest. He said that I was overworked and I just needed some time to recuperate. I reluctantly lied in fear of being judged by my peers. I can't even imagine what people would think if they knew about my condition. It certainly would remove me from the new project that we were working on. Well, I hope you're ready, because today we're prepping the vessel for the navigation system, she said. You better be at 100%. And then she smiled at me. Our deadline to finish the project may be a year away, but sooner we start the better. As she went on about the project, a childlike grin came to me as if waiting to play with a newfound toy. A few days had gone by without any unusual occurrences of mental or physical manifestations. My work has my head preoccupied, helping me forget about past week's experience. Work is the only place that can provide me a stimulant to my brain. I am lucky to have an opportunity to work on a top-secret project like this. How else could I experience the bleeding-edge technology known to only a select few? For example, an organic silicon computer that could be a future of interstellar navigation. This technology has the potential to guide us far into space. Humans are only now settling on Mars. To go any further, improvements to propulsion systems is required. At best, we can reach Mars in 5 months, and that's not including any miscalculations that may require a catch-up due to Mars spinning around the Sun. With the new navigation system, it should be closer to 3 months of travel. In preparation, our team is finishing wiring for the control modules inside the spacecraft. Based on the information acquired from testing, no major issues were found, which should leave us with a glitch-free system. I seem to have lost my eye drops. This always happens to me when I really need to find something. Agitation is the word that comes to mind. Sometimes it's best to walk away to later return with a fresh point of view. Although backtracking is another way to find lost items, it certainly is not preferred. Where did the bottle go? One moment it was in my hand, and now it's gone forever, it seems. All of my coworkers have their own bottles, so there's no reason for someone to take mine. Yesterday we were clearly told not to lose any interface liquid, and yet here we are. Not to mention, without this liquid, navigation system will not operate properly at all. Considering the limited quantities of it, I can see why anyone would be concerned. That's what I get for trying to multitask. It can lead to higher productivity, but it can increase the chance for error, that's for sure. Human beings cannot effectively multitask without some kind of assistance. Alright, let's take a look around. Here's my notebook, pen, coffee mug, desk covered in sticky notes, and There it is, sitting inside the thumbtack tray. Someone's probably found it and left it at my desk. I guess having my name written on it was a good idea. Shortly after, walking through the vast hangar leading towards the construction zone for the new spacecraft, I was accompanied by a young engineer with pretty blonde hair that was eagerly ready to fill me in. As she realized that I was holding the bottle of magic liquid, she proceeds to share her vast knowledge of the system. Those are eye drops composed of organic liquid found inside the navigation computer as the part of the processing network. They're made of special algae found in deep ocean that has been genetically modified to interfere with silicone circuitry. Scientists discovered that once exposed, to control the amount of oxygen it can act as a beam of light similar to that of a fiber link data transport. Although still alive at molecular level, algae is very similar to the modern day carbon nanotubes. To make the system work, carbon-based contact lenses are used as catalysts to decode visual input, but also sends inputs to the computer by tracking your eyes. Almost funny, possibly thinking that I would now listen to her fascinating story. She continued by raising her voice ever so slightly and hastens the pace. There's even more to it. The genetically modified algae by design reacts to exposure to oxygen, then interacts with the users by dilating pupils, after which eyes absorb the properties of the liquid, giving you the ability to not only visualize data received but also see in darkness. And because you connect it directly to the computer, you can look through any window of the cockpit and visually see an overlay map. The carbon-based eye lenses act as a bridge between algae and the main processing unit that is located underneath the control modules. There are no serious side effects from using the system, but be sure to use the eye drops every time. As the engineer explained how it works, I readied myself. Here we go. One drop in the left, one drop in the right, and insert the eye contacts. One way to describe this experience would be to say, a vast information of data started to pour out of my eyes. I can't believe it! I screamed from excitement. Oh my god, this is beyond amazing. To not show this kind of excitement is harder than you may think. Augmented reality is still fairly new, but this takes it to a whole new level. The eye tracking is superb, and it may as well be 20 years ahead of its time compared to anything else available to public. I can certainly see why eye tracking is needed. How else could you possibly navigate through this interstellar maze of information? If I move my head, the view pans into any direction on the map, but fine panning is done from user's point of view by tracking your eye movements. Blinking twice provides a gradual zoom, and closing your eyes provides the zoom out function depending on how long your eyes are closed. After finding your destination on the map, you would issue voice commands based off coordinates displayed. You would simply voice the coordinates, after which the computer sends the information to the vessel's propulsion system, still connected to it even with craft's present location on Earth. With all of the light pollution, the sky opens up and the view of Milky Way leaves you breathless. There is one unmentioned side effect from using this system, and that would be glowing blue eyes. It's true when people say time flies when you have fun. If it wasn't for my boss telling me to go home, I wouldn't have realized that it was midnight already. Going home was the last thing on my mind. Short of getting kicked out, I eventually arrived at my department, only to enjoy a small dinner and a shower. It just seems like a waste of time. Still wishing to spend more time tinkering with navigation system, I have no choice but to think about my next logical move. It's time for bedtime. The voices. I can hear voices speaking to me. Through half-open eyelids, I can make out multiple shapes of humanoid beings hovering over me, just like guard dogs waiting for an intruder to make a move. In an attempt to make a contact, one of them decides to reach out and wrap its arms around me. This embrace felt warm, as if it was an actual physical contact. For some reason, I didn't want this dream to end. My subconscious is telling me to stay, but with all its physical vividness, I can't help but reject this dream. With a quick realization that submitting to this bizarre dream could leave me in a dire state of mind, I've decided to end it as soon as possible. Come to find out, it's easier said than done. Did you ever try to force yourself to wake up from a bad dream? You know, when someone is chasing you or falling from a building. It's usually the fear that wakes us. In this dream, I feel no fear for some reason. These creatures appear friendly, and sense of belonging keeps me from any urgent departure. I must try, or be stuck here forever. As suspected, no control of this dream is allowed. The only thing left is to try to break free from this creature's arms, and maybe my subconscious body will hit something in the bedroom, causing pain. While desperately trying to free myself, the creature holding me realizes what I'm trying to do and starts to clinch my body even more so. Tossing left and right, I suddenly start to make out the creature's face, and its eyes are finally starting to form shape. Round, black eyes, as if something straight out of a horror movie were staring at me. At this point, fear takes over, and the sound of loud thump wakes me, which was my head hitting the wooden bed frame. My heart feels like exploding my chest as though I ran a marathon. I was sweating so much that the bedroom windows got fogged up, just like in a sauna. Crap, I must have forgotten to take my medication yesterday. That's it. Tomorrow I will make an appointment with psychologist because these dreams need to end. Good thing I kept his business card. I was able to reach him directly, and he was more than happy to take me right away. Of course, filling out the paperwork was the first thing to do, but shortly after, he took me in and, with a curious look in his face, asked me, "Did you forget to take your medication?" With embarrassment in my voice, I admitted to the fact. "Well, I've been very busy at work and probably forgot. Although I can't say for sure because there were only 2 pills remaining last time I checked. I was trying to save him in case something like this happened again." He looked at me with a judgment in his eyes and said, "Unfortunately, just like any medication, it has to be taken on a regular basis, and only your doctor can tell you if you can stop or change dosage. Tell me, are you experiencing vivid dreams again, where you wake up sweating uncontrollably?" "I do," answering his question. "Alright," he said, and then started to write notes about succeeding questions. "I know that during our previous conversation we had established that nothing traumatic has happened in your life, but to discover hidden meanings of your dreams we need to dig deeper." With a slight pause in his voice, he continued, "Feel free to reject my proposal, but our only option besides taking additional medication is to undergo hypnotherapy. In this process, with my guidance of course, we can slowly discover the hidden meaning of your dreams or possibly find suppressed memories." I certainly didn't like his question, although I suspected what his suggested treatment would be. Giving him an immediate answer proved to be a hesitant endeavor. As if he could read my mind, he continued, "Don't worry, I know that dreams can be scary, and not wanting to experience them again is understandable. But consider this. I'll be there with you with every step of the way. You can be brought back at any time. Trust me on this." He tried to hide his excitement, but his face told a different story. Fascination with the work he was doing was apparent, and he failed to keep it a secret. He knew that this was my only option, and selling this service to me was an easy task. "After going through hypnotherapy, do I need to continue using this medication?" I asked. "There's a really good chance you will not have to use a medication afterwards, but for now, it has to be taken along with therapy," he replied. Like a child with no other option, I reluctantly agreed to his proposal. "Very well, let's do it." Over the period of 2 weeks, we had 5 sessions that provided minor success in discovering the reason for my dreams and hallucinations. Psychologists did state that my hallucinations were caused by a bad habit of writing my own dreams, and that my brain was still in a sleep mode at the time it happened. It certainly makes sense, as there is no other viable explanation. Well, at least for now, dreams are gone. Maybe this drug is helping me more than I think. From where those dream ideas came from still baffles me. He recommended spending more time with friends and family. This weekend, I think I will certainly do so. I tire from exhaustion, dealing with work and my health issues at the same time. Enjoying a relaxed weekend is in order. Now that weekend is over, it's finally time to get back to work. As I walk through the door, my boss grabs me with a panic in her voice and tells me to follow her. While running towards the ship, she briefly explains what is going on. Something is wrong with the navigation system. We must have done something to the code that is not letting us connect to the interface. Out of breath, she continued. According to the data log, you were the last one who made the changes to it. Very confused on how this could have happened, as I don't recall making any changes, she still demanded an immediate answer. Never before seeing her this angry caught me off guard, and a bit intimidated, I was hesitant to answer. Furious with my hesitation, she said, "Hurry up and give me the backup data," she exclaimed. "After restoring backup, we must make sure it's operating again or someone else will be in deep shit." Her use of profanity was unheard of and made me panic as well. Snapping out of it, I said to her, "Okay, after you finish loading the backup, I will proceed to interface with it." With no disapproval to my action, I got ready by putting in the carbon lenses. "Are you ready?" she asked. "Yes, I am." She presses the power button, and although too late, I realized that I didn't use the eye drops before putting in the carbon lenses. Oh well, I should be able to tell if the system is working at least. "Okay, I can see that it's working." With a sign of relief, I conveyed to her. My eyes are tingling. What can only be described as lightning striking my eyes and unbearable pain overwhelms me. Ah! My eyes! My eyes! It's burning my eyes! It feels as if display data is being etched into my retina. My eyeballs are rapidly moving inside my head like the worst kind of vertigo. People are around me are scattering to help, but I can't stay aware any longer. I can hear voices of my boss screaming for help, slowly fading away. Darkness has taken me once more. Is this another dream? This surface is much harder than my own bed. Slowly I open my eyes and realize not only was this no longer my room, but no longer my home. By looking around, I find myself in what appears to be a round hut, carefully surrounded by weird relics and a weird smell of what can only be described as potpourri. I feel a draft coming from the doorway with occasional trace of dust finding its way in, which would explain why the interior of the hut was covered in sand. I can hear many voices outside, chatting weird and yet simple phrases. Deciding to resist the urge of going back to sleep, I decide to get up and walk towards the cloth-covered entrance. Right as I approach the doorway, the cloth moves, and what I saw, for the moment, left me petrified. At the door, standing, was someone wearing a bandana covering most of their face. The big dark eyes peeking through the garment struck a familiar sensation of remembrance. I stumbled back and realizing that this was the same creature that held me in my dream. The creature was carrying a tray with a pot of few rags, which it dropped as soon as it saw me. This is a dream. This is a dream, I kept telling myself. My mind, although confused, somehow knew that this was real. With no virtual escape, all I could do was slowly sit on a nearby chair and wait. This creature followed my example, and as if it knew not to startle me further, very carefully, just like taming a wild animal, it spoke. "Welcome back." The end.